Well, anyway, I'm out here kind of working on the alarm and auto start, trying to find the wire for the camera and all that. I'm just going to kind of give it up for now. But I wanted to make a quick video. The other day I was watching a video from, I don't remember his channel and I have to apologize for it, but he does a lot of those Florida drive-bys. There's a lot of those, just driving around Florida and talking. He's, I believe he's into computers as well as firearms. And I apologize for not remembering his channel's name. I will post it, but other than that, I don't remember it. But he had a heart attack, sorry to hear, I guess last week, and gone through a few things that I had gone through. And now I had posted it a long time ago, and it probably got lost in the post. And he made a good point. To pay attention to yourself, and I think now it's a good time for me to repost. Now, in my case, I don't know if it was as severe as his. All right, I had gone for 4 weeks with mine going on. I was cutting the lawn one day with the wife, and I was cutting just a little section of lawn, which is about 15 by 15. Using a little power push mower, and after I made a couple passes, all of a sudden my chest is pounding, it's hurting, I'm out of breath, I'm getting dizzy, I'm weak in the knees. I mean, like, wow, and I'm thinking, whoa, I'm just exhausted here, and the pain in the chest is maybe acid reflux. But I sat down on a stump that I had, which was nearby. And I kind of just sat there with my elbows resting on my knees, controlling my breathing a little bit, because just prior to this, a few weeks prior, I had the heart monitor on. Now, how that arrived was back, 10 years ago maybe. I had always told my doctor, my new doctor, that every now and then, maybe once or twice a year, I may have like a heart palpitation. It may last for 5 seconds, sometimes 15 seconds, but that's about it, and a couple times a year. Well, he kind of just, okay, and shrugged his shoulders, and kind of happens again, let us know, blah, 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 and they did an EKG, and, well, EKGs, to be honest with you, are kind of a waste, unless you've already had a heart attack and they have something to judge it by. Or it's happening at the time, all right? But if they don't have a past EKG on you, doing one then sometimes doesn't really show a problem, so they can be a waste. But however, one day, about 10 years ago, I was on the table at my doctor going through my normal physical, and he was running an EKG, and I got that little heart palpitation that went on for about 5 or 6 seconds, and all of a sudden they're all panicking and running around. And now this is something I've had for years. I remember when I was 2, 3, 4 years old, well, not so much 2, 3, or 4, but 5, 6 years old, and things like that, having these things occasionally. So it's always been, and I never really contributed to anything, and nor did any of the doctors ever contribute to anything. So it was never a big deal. But anyway, it happened well, I was on the little table there in the exam room while they were, giving me my normal yearly physical. Oh, Jesus! So they immediately rushed me to a specialist. Not to the hospital, because it stopped, but to a specialist. And this doctor is well known in the area. He has like 15 other doctors under him that's in his group. So he's a well-known doctor. So I've been seeing this doctor ever since, every year, for a stress test. Now, 1 year it's a stress test, and if everything looks okay, the second year he'll throw the monitor on me for 24 hours. And then the following year a stress test, and things like that. So a few months prior to this, I had the monitor on, and I was out there splitting wood, and things like that. And he tells me, well, you had your heart rate up to like 145 for like, 40 minutes or so, 30 minutes, whatever it was. He says, your heart's strong as a horse, you got no problems. Okay, Well, here it is now a few months later, and I'm sitting on a stump, not being able to breathe, an elephant standing on my chest, legs are weak, pains, controlling my pain with my breathing, and thinking, well, maybe it's acid reflux, because I do have a history of acid reflux. So I'm thinking acid reflux. Can't be a heart attack or anything. I just had the monitor on. My heart's as strong as a horse. Well, anyway, the next day I decided to call my doctor because actually I got into the house. All right, I was able to get into the house, but by the time I got in the house, everything started acting up again. And I started sweating like a pig. I told my wife, go get me some cold, wet towels, 2 of them, 3 of them. I had her take off my shirt, and I'm having wet towels rubbed on my back. I got them around my neck. I got them over my head. The floor is filling up with water, not from the wet towels because they were wrung out, but from me sweating, and it just got to be a nightmare. And so I laid down, and everything went calm as long as I was laying down. But if I even reached over while laying on my side on the couch watching TV to get something off the table, I got that little pain. So I said, whoa. So the next morning I got up and walked into the kitchen, and the pain is still there. So I'm kind of just shuffling my feet. I call my doctor. My doctor says, get to the emergency room. So, okay, I go to the emergency room, and this is where I'm talking about the EKGs and things. They're doing the EKGs, they're doing all this stuff, and they're thinking acid reflux. They give me a shot of some stuff, apparently for acid reflux. They took a little blood. They asked me about my heart. They checked my records with my doctor. They said, okay, you know what though? He says, I'm not going to rule out a little bit of angina. Now, at the time, I was kind of ignorant to that. Now I have a small history of acid reflux, so I'm thinking, well, if it's anything serious, he's not going to send me home. So it must have something to do with acid reflux. And I didn't ask because I was feeling good after. I was feeling good there. I even drove myself to the hospital. But when I got home, I'm starting to do things because I was in the middle of remodeling the bathroom at the same time. And as soon as I start to do anything, the pain came back. All right. So I go see my doctor the following day, my heart doctor. And again, EKG. He says, I think you got acid reflux, he says. And he lets me go. And he says, you should see your doctor. All right. Well, this is going on for a week. I'm shuffling my feet. I can't move. I can't breathe. I'm not sleeping. I can't do anything. I'm sweating. I'm walking around with wet towels on me. Another week, I call him up. I go back. I'm telling you, it's got to be acid reflux. Well, to make a long story short, excuse me, I seen him 4 times in 4 weeks. This went on for 4 weeks. And I seen a so-called top-notch heart specialist once every week for 4 weeks in the hospital. The only one that said anything was the hospital. He said it may be a case of angina, but I didn't know what the hell that was, nor did I ask. But my heart doctor, they sent me home, so it can't be anything serious. This is what I'm thinking. However, it's not right. I'm just not feeling right. So I went to a gastro guy. He's going to go down. I went there on a Thursday or a Friday. And, he did a little looking and feeling and things, but he says, you know what, I'm going to go down your throat and we're going to explore on a Tuesday, he says. But before I do that, I want you to go to your heart doctor. I'm going to call him now, make the appointment for Guilford, and I want you to have a stress test on Monday. Okay. So Monday I go to the doctor's in Guilford, and I walk up the stairs. I mean, it took me forever, but I'm thinking it's acid reflux. I'm going to work this out. I get into the office wearing an open button-down shirt, a wet towel around my neck, and in pain, out of breath, And I tell them I'm there for a stress test, and the receptionist says I'm in the wrong building. I'm supposed to be in New Haven. Well, I'm telling her I never go to New Haven. My doctor made the appointment for here. Here it is on the card. You know, and if I was to go to New Haven, I'd never be able to walk from the parking facility to the office. That's how far it is. I mean, it's like a quarter of a mile. So anyway, that's why I always use Guilford. So she goes on to tell me that it's not going to happen. Well, I got a little pissed off at this point because I'm really tired of it. And I got a little heavy, so I'm gonna say a few words I normally don't use on camera. But I told her I don't give two shits. Now the people in the reception office, in the reception area, waiting to see a doctor, are kind of looking at me now as a madman. But I'm telling her I don't give two shits about if he's here or not here. Somebody in this fucking medical facility, because it's a medical building, has to have something for this pain. Now I don't care if it was a hair across my ass, you know, or what. I says, I'm in pain, been in pain for 4 weeks, something's got to get done, I'm not leaving. Well, after everybody in the reception area kind of looked at me, you know, in the waiting room, you know, like I'm a wacko, you know, they decided, well, okay, wait a minute. So they get one of my doctors, associate doctors, bring me into the back room, and they put a nitroglycerin under my tongue and an aspirin, and the pain went away. Poof, gone. Oh, great, Doc, thanks. Give me a script. I'm on my way home. He says, no, you're not. You're on your way to the hospital. You're having a heart attack. So they called an ambulance. They wouldn't even let me drive. They called an ambulance, took me to Yale, New Haven, brought me into the emergency room, started doing blood work. Sure as shit, I'm having a heart attack. They rushed me upstairs, so now they're going to go up through the groin, because this was a few years ago, and this particular doctor decided to go up through the groin. And they go up into the heart, and he's actually talking to me, because I'm watching him, and, you know, it's no pain. You really don't feel it. You may feel a little pressure when he starts around the groin area, pushing the camera and things up there, but you really don't have any pain. And he's telling me, don't move, but yet he's talking to me. And he's asking me, do you see this? Well, basically, what I didn't know what I was looking at, but it looked like a cloud, and I seen a little line going over this way, and a little line going this way, and he was like right in the middle of these two other little lines, and, you know, he goes, well, watch this. Well, he goes into this cloud that sees nothing, which is basically my heart, and the next thing you know, he opens it up, and when he opened it up, I seen this black line that was on each side go rushing right down through the center of this cloud, which is my heart. And as soon as that happened, the pain went away, the elephant got off the chest, the sweat stopped. I said, oh, wow. I mean, like, you know, I wanted to get up and dance, but it's just I can't move, you know, because he's in my heart, so that wouldn't be a good idea. So he put a stent in, and after he, you know, was done, and he, you know, he put a cork in the groin area, you know, he closed up the incision. He had told me my main artery was 100% blocked. He said if I had done anything other than what I was doing, I would have been dead. Right? So here's my doctor. Now this was one of his associates. This is one of the associates that only does what he does. And he was a good guy. But he had said if you had done anything else, you would have been dead. He says, I informed, you know, your doctor, which is his boss, and everything's okay. We're going to put you in intensive care overnight. And if everything goes right, we'll move you into the other side, get me out of intensive care, and keep me a second night. And then the third day, they let me home. You know, now they have me on medication. I have what they call a non-medicated stent. All right, there's pros and cons on non-medicated and medicated. I hear if you're on a medicated stent, you have to take a certain medication all the time to maintain it or something. I don't know the whole scenario behind it, but like was said by the Florida drive-by, you know, if you feel different, don't write it off. And if you go to the doctor, don't let him just push you out the door if you're still in pain. because you know, sometimes they just, you know, they just take things for granted. You know, they think, you know, okay, they've already made a decision, you know. Well, the EKG looks good and your blood looks good. Well, yeah, okay, but if that sucker's closing up, my enzymes are going to start changing. So you may better keep me another night or so. Put me in the hospital, you know, because at this point, you know, I don't want to end up outside the hospital someplace. I was very lucky, as you were, you know, with yours. But a lot of people aren't so lucky, you know. But like I say, I went 4 weeks. All right, and my artery, my main artery, was just continuing to close to where it hit 100%. All right, so, but you know, and it was pain for 4 weeks, and they just kept saying acid reflux. And this is a top-notch doctor, you know. So you really gotta be the doctor. Now, if, for instance, I've been going problems with this breathing, and they're giving me medication for anxiety, they give me medication for panic attacks, they give me medication because they think there's a nerve in my brain that's acting up, you know, I mean, and then the next thing you know, I come to find out that I'm allergic to my dogs. I found this out. So here they are, they just keep pumping shit in you because they already make an assumption, well, you can't breathe well. Well, you know what, you're a little overweight, you know. No. I was breathing fine when I was overweight, you know, so there's something different here, you know. So, well, your lungs look good, your heart looks good, it's got to be mental, you know. Anybody chasing you? Anybody after you? Oh, fuck, you know. So doctors are constantly making mistakes, constantly, you know. I am going to go to a doctor because the more I think about it, how many medications am I on that I really don't need to be on because they just assume and misdiagnose? Now, I just found out the other day that a friend of mine was telling me that a friend of his wife has been in pain for almost 3 years with her knees, where she doesn't even want to walk. All right, she doesn't know what to do with it. I mean, she's constantly wearing hot compresses, cold compresses, rubbing them, stimulating them, everything and come to find out, you know, they were talking about doing knee surgery. There's another doctor on the dock. This was the marina, and he said, "Go see a friend of mine." Come to find out, it wasn't her knees at all; it was her hips. Right? So here's a doctor that's diagnosed her with knee problems. She's been suffering for 3 years. All right, because she didn't really want to go for the knee surgery. When come to find out, it wasn't the knees at all; it was her hips. Right? So she went in for hip surgery, and she's feeling fine. You got to watch your doctors. You have to be the doctor. And if you're going to have to be a hypochondriac and be a pusher and be one of those guys, well, be him. So anyway, guys, good luck. Didn't mean to take a lot of time, but it is important.